Good morning, DPS employees and staff. We welcome you to the final summer boot camp for this summer. I think we've had 4 good sessions so far. Heard a lot of good comments back. I want to give a shout out to Verity, Amy Simonson, and Ben Pitts, and Rebecca, who's our presenter, for all that they've done for us in these 5 weeks. I think it's been very beneficial. It's put a spotlight on our program of Take 10 Financial Fitness, and we want to welcome you to this final broadcast, and I'll turn it over to Ben Pitts, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your summer. Ben, turning it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our final installation here, number 5 of 5, Understanding Social Security and Other Elements of Retirement Income Planning. Our team at My Financial Answers has really enjoyed working with Paul and DPS and the team, Amy Simonson and her team at Verity. We're really looking forward to this. I know Becky has prepared quite a bit for us today on retirement income planning. So we welcome you to actively participate by asking any questions that you have throughout the webinar in the questions box. We'll answer all of those questions at the end. So far, we've been able to get through all questions, and they've been very good questions. So we encourage you to send those questions in, and we also encourage you to stick till the end. We'll invite you all to build a financial plan if you've not already. And we'll give you the details on that at the end. So with that, I'm going to introduce Becky I. Capelli, who is a lead financial planner at My Financial Answers. And Becky, you can take it from here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ben. So thanks you guys so much for attending today. This is our last one, so we're sorry to see everyone go, but we want you to have a happy summer and take into account all this financial information that you've been receiving so far from these 5 webinars. So I've been doing this for a number of years, working with wealth management, financial planning, and tax. And so our goal here is to just see you guys build up your retirement so that you can have a happy and comfortable life, and take into account all these lessons that you've learned from the financial fitness program, and put all this into practice so that you guys can have a successful financial future. So that we hope that you get as much as you can out of today, and we hope you have a great summer as well. So thanks so much. We're going to get into presentation mode. So welcome to week 5 of the Financial Fitness Boot Camp, the last one of our series, of course. So we're sad to see this ending, as we mentioned before, but we're hoping you're able to gain some knowledge over the course of the series, and so you can start improving your financial situation overall. So what we want is to see everyone building a sufficient nest egg for your retirement so that you can live out your golden years in comfort and with peace of mind. So please sign up for My Financial Answers, and you can set up a meeting with an advisor such as myself to ensure you're on the right track in accomplishing your goals. Today, in Understanding Social Security and Other Elements of Retirement Income Planning, we're going to learn a bit about the basics of Social Security and how that can impact your financial plan. In some cases, Social Security makes up almost 90% of a senior's income, so it is a very important element to include in your plan. But what comes with Social Security are various options, and we want to educate you on the differences between the choices that are available to you. Also, we are going to learn about different strategies and vehicles we can use for our retirement income, withdrawal strategies, tax strategies, and different ways in which we can optimize our retirement income. Hopefully, our retirement will have various streams of income, including pensions, Social Security, and withdrawals from our portfolio, and we want them to all work in conjunction to provide for your lifestyle while also being distributed in the most tax-efficient way possible. So that's our goal for today. So let's get started with introducing Social Security. You may know Social Security best for what you see come out of your paycheck every month. You pay 6.2% of your income towards Social Security, but only on income up to $137,700. But what this ultimately does is provide you with a benefit when you retire so that you may live out the rest of your years with at least a bit of a safety net. Social Security pays lifetime income at a set amount each month and increases with a cost of living adjustment, which is a reflection of inflation. You have different options of when you can take Social Security. The earliest you can take it is at age 62, But if you do so, you'll be permanently reducing your benefits, and then that amount will continue for your lifetime. The reduction amount decreases until you reach full retirement age, which can be around 66 or 67 for most individuals. You also have the option of delaying your retirement benefits past your full retirement age, and this will allow you to have an increase each year of 8%, which is a great benefit if you are able to wait to take the income payments until that point. We will see in the next slide what the break-even looks like for taking it at each age. The average Social Security benefit for a $50,000 earner is $1,500 if taken early at 62, $2,000 at full retirement, and $2,650 at age 70. The benefit amount is based on your highest 35 years of earnings. You may also collect on your spouse's benefit if you are married, and that benefit is half of your spouse's total benefit. Or you can collect on your own record, which would be based on your personal income. You have the option for whichever is higher. If you are divorced and you are married to that person for 10 years, you can collect on your ex-spouse's Social Security without affecting their benefit. In 1940, the life expectancy of a 65-year-old was almost 14 years. Today, it is just over 20 years. But many like to plan for even longer, such as a 30-year retirement being the most common for financial planners. We want to ensure you will have enough money to provide given the scenario that you might live until 95, as it really is a possibility these days. For about half of seniors, it provides at least 50% of their total income, and for about 1 in 4 seniors, it provides at least 90% of their income. So it is an important aspect of financial planning and one we certainly want to discuss when determining our options. So it's best to speak with an advisor to help choose your age to claim, as it depends on your overall retirement income that you expect, and it's all based on your financial plan. So speaking to an advisor is the best way to go. Next, we're going to take a look at the break-even points of Social Security. How long you live has an impact on when you should be taking it. Of course, no one knows this, so it is a bit of a guessing game, but we can look at the math behind it so we can make an informed decision. We want to consider our health when making this decision. If we are in great health and have a family history of long lives, we may want to be looking at the age 92 section of this chart. Whereas if we have an unfortunate family history with early deaths and we know that we ourselves are not in the best of shape, we would then want to take a look at the age 72 section of this chart. Either way, we can see the total benefit of each selection taking at 62, 66, or 70. It changes as we get older. At first, if we pass away at age 72, it would be better for us if we had claimed our benefits at age 62. This is because we had the longest runway of payments made to us over the course of 10 years. If we took our benefits at age 70, for example, and died at age 72, well, then we did not receive much from Social Security. And that's really not a situation we want to be in, given how much we have contributed to Social Security over the years. We can see that at age 82, the total payments are somewhat even. This is where we are just about break even with our payouts. Any of the options would have been good for us, with full retirement age inching out to be best by a slight amount. Lastly, we can take a look at living to age 92, in which case taking the larger benefit at age 70 would have added the greatest value to our retirement. So we want to take advantage of the most amount of benefits we can get our hands on over the course of our retirement. And it's best to take a look at a chart such as this to provide a baseline for what we believe to be our situation. Take into account your health, family history, and of course your overall financial plan, and you'll be able to come up with as close as possible the optimal time to take Social Security. As we discussed in our last webinar, engaging in bridge work is a very popular option for retirees. This allows individuals to participate in some level of work while being able to maintain their stress-free retirement. Some may retire early when their pension kicks in at 55, start taking Social Security at 62, and be working as a part-time job. If you are under full retirement age for the entire year, Social Security deducts $1 from your benefits for every $2 you earn above the annual limit, which is $18,240. So this is anything over and above that $18,000. If you earn below that, then you don't have to worry about the reduction. Also, if you're at full retirement age, there will be no reduction at all. Beginning with the month you reach full retirement age, your earnings no longer reduce your benefits, no matter how much you earn. Fortunately, though, if your benefits were reduced, Social Security recalculates your benefit amount to give you credit for the months you chose to work over and above the limit. So that money is not all lost. You will be receiving it back over the course of time as they adjust your benefit amount to account for these past deductions. Bridge work is a great way to supplement your retirement income and also keep you just busy enough during your retirement years. My own grandmother, she does some tax work during tax season for a company, and she loves having her mind engaged and some extra income on the side so she can take care of projects around the house and other extras such as extra vacation. So don't let Social Security deter you from engaging in work, especially if you are at full retirement, as you will receive the benefit regardless. Pensions. Mostly a thing of the past these days. Pensions are great benefits if one is provided to you. Pensions are a guaranteed payout for life and oftentimes offer spousal benefits as well if you choose such a payout. These are a great supplement to your retirement income as they are fixed and provide a sense of security for your retirement. Pension plans are different from your 401k, 403bs, or IRAs. They are an added benefit where the employer is responsible for the investing of the funds and they promise a certain amount as a result over the course of your lifetime. The employer can contribute, the employee may be required to contribute, but the employee is not responsible for picking investments as they would in their own 403b or IRA. You have multiple options when you are ready to take your pension. Oftentimes, there will be an option to have spousal benefits at a certain percentage. This may be a 100% continuation of benefits for your spouse if you pass away, or possibly a 50% benefit. These added benefits, they'll reduce the amount of your pension as it is possibly more money that the company will have to pay out. What you want to do when comparing these options is taking a look at the cost of insurance, as this is basically what it is. It is an added insurance benefit for your spouse. If a comparable policy would be less, then choose the single life option at the highest payout and purchase insurance elsewhere. If the pension provides the insurance for cheaper, then choose that route. Your pension amount may or may not increase with inflation. This depends on the terms of your particular plan. If it does not increase with inflation, then the amount is going to reduce in value over time as it will not have the purchasing power it once did at the beginning. That will require a supplement from other income sources such as Social Security or your retirement portfolio. Hopefully, they do offer inflation adjustments so that purchasing power can remain consistent. There is also a vesting period for when you become eligible for the pension. It may be 5 years or even 10 years of service that's required. But as you continue in your service, your pension value will increase. If you are in service for 20 to 30 years, you may be able to take your pension at any age, but that depends on the terms of your plan. Now let's discuss your withdrawal strategy for retirement. Fixed income sources such as pension and Social Security can help ease the blow when it comes to having to withdraw funds from your retirement accounts. But those funds you build up for retirement, they were meant to be used, so there's no problem taking money to provide for your lifestyle. But what you want to do is choose a withdrawal strategy that works for you and fits within your life. There are multiple options for how to go about withdrawing from your portfolio. First, there is the 4% rule. This is where you withdraw 4% each year from your retirement assets and also increase that amount by inflation. So you'd increase your distribution amount each year based on the cost of living. If you do this, you can keep a consistent payout when it comes to providing income, and it can last you around the 30 years as we would hope. Of course, you want to be careful of market volatility. During periods of market downturns, you may be tapping into principal and reducing your assets. Hence, there comes the dynamic withdrawal strategy. This takes into account the changes in the market by changing the income stream depending on your market performance. The drawback to this, however, is the lack of stability when it comes to your income. It is not as predictable and may be reduced during periods of market volatility. Also, there is the bucket method. This is where you would create different accounts for different purposes, short-term needs in cash and long-term needs in more aggressive investments. You would often in this case keep 3 to 5 years expenses in cash and replenish that cash from your fixed income or equities as you use the cash for your living expenses. Overall, you want to choose the strategy that best fits your needs. In order to find what fits, a financial plan needs to be built to determine how much you need to cover expenses and what plan will help you get you there. So talk to your advisor about discussing that. Let's briefly discuss asset allocation, as we already did discuss this in our previous webinar, but it's important to consider when planning your retirement income streams. You want to be sure to be keeping enough cash to provide for your lifestyle expenses, such as 3 to 6 months. You could have a longer period of cash savings for expenses depending on your comfort level, but you would like the rest of your fixed income portion of your portfolio to be in CDs or bonds that mature as you need the income. If you don't want to work with individual bonds, you could use bond mutual funds or ETFs, which provide you with a dividend to use for your income, but also can be withdrawn to replenish your cash. The idea is that these fixed income investments will protect you against market downturns and keep your income flow stable. Still, you do not want to shy away from equities when you retire. Equities are an important part of your portfolio to keep it growing, with the goal of lasting 30 plus years into retirement. A common rule is to subtract your age from 110 to come up with your recommended equity percentage. This is just a mere suggestion, so of course your risk tolerance should be taken into consideration here. But overall, this provides a nice guideline as to what you should be invested in to keep your portfolio growing. If you keep your entire portfolio in fixed income, you may not be able to provide for yourself for the entirety of retirement, and you may run out of money. So remaining diversified across stocks and bonds is of utmost importance. Speak to your advisor to determine what allocation is right for you and how that will change over time as you move through retirement. Healthcare expenses are also something we want to consider when going into retirement. We never know what our healthcare costs will be, but for single retirees, the healthcare cost estimate is $150,000 for women and $135,000 for men throughout retirement, according to Fidelity. This can sound like a hefty cost, but when we certainly plan for it, we can accomplish it. One way we can save for our healthcare costs in retirement is through an HSA plan, or a health savings account. You may be eligible through your own plan or through your spouse's healthcare plan. A health savings account is different from a flexible spending account in that you are able to maintain the funds in the account outside of just 1 year. It is not a use it or lose it type of account. It acts almost as a retirement account and has similar properties. The contributions to this account are pre-tax, meaning the amount you contribute is deducted from your taxable income. Also, the distributions you take from this account, if used for healthcare expenses, are tax-free. This offers a double tax benefit. Usually, pre-tax accounts would incur ordinary income taxes when withdrawn, but the health savings account allows for pre-tax contributions and tax-free distributions if used for healthcare expenses. The caveat is that in order to qualify for this type of account, you have to have a high deductible plan. The HSA is meant to offset the disadvantage of a high deductible plan by offering the tax benefits. You can save in this account all the way through to retirement. You can have these funds invested in the market so they can grow over time, and even build them up to the point of having that $150,000 for healthcare expenses. If you don't end up needing them for healthcare expenses, the money can be withdrawn as in normal retirement accounts at age 65. So planning for healthcare is definitely something we want to incorporate in your retirement planning, as it can cost quite a bit depending on your circumstances. In My Financial Answers, we automatically incorporate $12,000 per year for healthcare costs of retirement. So when you build a plan with us, you are certainly doing so with some cushion so you can be able to take care of those expenses. So I encourage you to get in touch with us so we can make that plan and carry it out. Next, we want to discuss the tax strategies we can put in place for withdrawing for retirement. We want to be sure to plan this out with our advisor and also our tax advisor to ensure we are getting the most bang for our buck and keeping as much away from Uncle Sam as possible. We may have a variety of account types, and the goal is to take out of these accounts in a way that is most beneficial to you. To start off, you may have personal brokerage accounts, which are taxable accounts. In these accounts, you may have funds that have been held for the long term, over a year, and have significant capital gains. You're going to have to pay taxes on these gains if you withdraw the funds, but the benefit here is that those gains will be taxed at a capital gains rate, which is lower than ordinary income rates. Taking out of these accounts first allows the funds in your retirement accounts to continue growing tax-free. You experience tax-free growth in your retirement accounts, but when you distribute out of your IRAs, you're going to be taxed at ordinary income tax rates. So you want to balance your distribution so as not to increase your tax bracket. This can be done by planning out your distributions between your taxable, Roths, and IRAs so as to even out income over the course of your retirement and seek to achieve the lowest tax bracket possible. Ideally, you would distribute out of your Roth IRAs last because there are no required minimum distributions for these accounts, and they can continue to grow tax-free and also become tax-free for your heirs. Overall, you want to ensure the lowest tax burden possible, and weighing out your option takes some careful planning. So once again, it's important to speak with your advisor at My Financial Answers and also your tax advisor to develop a withdrawal strategy that keeps you within the minimum tax bracket while also providing the most for your lifestyle. One of the greatest retirement vehicles is the Roth IRA because of its tax-free benefits. But oftentimes, individuals are limited based on income in funding a Roth IRA. One way to transfer funds to a Roth IRA without worrying about income limits is through a Roth IRA conversion. Once the money is converted from a traditional account to a Roth account, you can now experience tax-free distributions on earnings as long as you have had that account for 5 years. Of course, there are going to be tax implications when converting to a Roth IRA. The money you put in your traditional accounts, such as 401k or a traditional IRA, they were pre-tax, meaning you have not paid taxes yet on those dollars. Therefore, when you take the money out of the account, you are going to owe taxes on that amount. There is no limit for how much you can convert, but you want to be aware of the tax implications for the year or years that you make the conversions. It is best to do this in a year of low income, such as when you enter into retirement in order to ensure the lowest tax bracket. You can also split up a conversion over the course of a few years to stay within a certain tax bracket. For example, if you want to convert $60,000, instead of doing $60,000 in, say, 2020, convert $20,000 per year for 3 years to keep yourself in a lower tax bracket. Once your money is in a Roth IRA, you will have your tax-free distributions, as mentioned before, as well as no required minimum distributions at age 72, unlike regular IRAs. This means the money you can continue to grow as long as you are utilizing other funds. But if you need it, go ahead and use it for your lifestyle and reap the benefits of the tax-free distributions. Another retirement income vehicle that can be used is an annuity. There are various types of annuities, and they are typically offered by insurance companies, but you can also purchase them from other institutions such as Fidelity or Charles Schwab, which are often much cheaper than the insurance companies. What annuities do is provide a set income amount, similar to a pension, but require a large upfront payment in order to do so. You can contribute over time, or you can make one large payment at once. Two of the main options include fixed annuities and variable annuities. Fixed annuities offer guaranteed payments for life or for a certain period of time. You can deposit, for example, $100,000 into the purchase of an annuity, and the money will be used to calculate a monthly distribution amount for you based on the amount in your account and also life expectancy tables. With a fixed annuity, there is a guaranteed interest rate that allows your account to grow over time without the fear of market drops. These protect against downturns in the market, as you do not have ties to market performance. Variable annuities, however, are tied to market performance. The payments you would get every month will fluctuate depending on the investments in your account. You are able to choose the investments yourself and select the level of risk you want to take on. Both fixed and variable annuities can be provided through a deferred annuity or an immediate annuity. A deferred annuity grows tax-free until distribution, at which point the monthly payments are taxed as ordinary income. An immediate annuity pays out a monthly amount immediately, hence the name, of course. This you would purchase right as you begin retirement, whereas a deferred annuity you may purchase in advance of retirement. Annuities can provide a level of security to supplement your retirement income and can grow tax-free, but there are definitely drawbacks. These include high fees, surrender charges, and the lack of benefits to your heirs. The fees for an annuity can be north of 3%, whereas a mutual fund can be below 0.5%. Also, your money is locked up when it is put in an annuity. If you decide to take money out, you will pay hefty surrender charges, usually around 7% to access your funds. Also, once you pass away or your spouse passes away in the case of a joint annuity, your money goes away completely. There is nothing left over for your heirs. Whereas if you had invested these funds in a retirement account, your heirs would inherit these accounts. There are various aspects to consider when deciding on these matters, so it is pertinent that you speak with your advisor to determine what best fits for you. So what we want to see in your retirement is to last for 30 plus years so you may be able to live in comfort. In order to do so, please sign up for My Financial Answers to have your financial plan reviewed and determine the best means for you to handle your retirement withdrawals. We can work together to utilize all the strategies we discussed in the series so far and come up with a solid financial foundation on which we can build your future. So we learned about cash flow, debt management, investments, alternate scenarios, and finally, Social Security and retirement income planning. All of these can be pieced together to come to a place that is comfortable for you and will help you live a comfortable future. So we wish the best for all of you, and we will continue providing you with education such as this in the months to come. We thank you so much for your attentiveness and your engagement in the series, and we wish you the best in moving forward with your financial future. So thank you once again, and we look forward to hearing your questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Becky. Well done. Good presentation. We've already got a handful of questions that have come in. So we just ask that all of you that have some questions, things that are going on in your mind right now, you're wondering about, all of your questions are great. We welcome you to share those with you. We're going to get to those in just a second. Before we do that, we do want to engage in a handful of poll questions to make this a little bit interactive. So we're going to ask 3 poll questions. And while we're asking these poll questions, again, please submit any questions that you have. Just so everyone knows, a couple of high-level things that we always get questions about is, where do I sign up for My Financial Answers? You will get a link to do so in the follow-up email. The follow-up emails will come from Durham Public Schools Public Relations Office is sending follow-up emails. You all should have gotten some if you've signed up for our previous webinars. And that will have the link to sign up for My Financial Answers. That will have recordings, links to watch recordings of all of the webinars, all 5 that we've gone through, including this one. You should receive that in the next 24 to 48 hours. It'll also include a link to schedule a meeting with a financial planner. So we invite you to look for those things. So with that, again, please send in your questions, but I'm going to kick off a poll question here just to get some interactivity. Poll question number 1. We just asked, how much do you expect to spend in retirement? So I'm going to launch this poll question, and we'll share the results once everyone has responded. So please take a look at the poll question. $0 to $2,000, $2,000 to $4,000, $4,000 to $6,000, or $6,000 or more. How much do you expect to spend? And this would be a monthly amount. It'd be nice if all we had to spend was this much in a year. How much do we expect to spend monthly? So we're seeing some answers here. Again, please ask any questions you have about any of the material that Becky went through, or any other issues that are on top of your mind when it comes to retirement and financial planning. We're happy to address all those questions. So it looks like our answers are coming in. We'll give it another 15 seconds or so. Again, you'll get a follow-up email from DPS Public Affairs with, I believe the first name was William, who sends that email with all the details for this webinar. So let's go ahead and share these results. We close the poll out. Looks like we've gotten all the answers. So we go ahead and share the results. So how much do you expect to spend in retirement? 11% of people say less than $2,000 a month. 64%, a majority, say between $2,000 and $4,000. So 22% say between $4,000 and $6,000, and then a very small percentage above that amount at $6,000 plus. So it looks like a majority of people expect to spend somewhere between $24,000, $25,000 or so, and about $50,000. So good deal. We'll launch our next poll question. Go hide those results. We're going to launch poll question number 2. At what age do you plan on taking Social Security? Select from one of the following. Age 62, which is as early as possible, somewhere between 62 and 65, at full retirement age, which for most people, it depends on your birth date, and 66 or 67, or 67 to 70, in which case you'd get a bit more than you would if you collected earlier. I think you said 8% per year, correct, Becky? So go ahead and answer those poll questions. That poll question for me. Looks like the answers are coming in. It looks like we've got some questions coming in as well, which is fantastic. We're looking forward to answering all of these questions. We'll do our best to get to every single one of them. So we'll give it about 10, 12 more seconds here, and then we will launch, we'll review the answers and launch our next poll question. All right, looks like still a couple answers coming in. All right, let me go ahead and close the poll. Oh, a couple more answers coming in here. We give it 5, 4, 3, and we'll close this poll. Let's go ahead and share the results. At what age do you plan on taking Social Security? Wow. So almost 50% of people say at full retirement age, 66 or 67. 6% of people say age 62, as early as possible. 33% say between 62 and 65, and about 14% say they're going to delay Social Security a bit and take it between 67 and 70. So as always, these answers, we saw this in previous polls we've done. These answers show the diversity of our audience here and what people's plans are, which is great. We're all different, which is exactly why financial planning is a practice that we that we enjoy. There's a lot of diversity in what people's plans are. All right, last poll question. So, do you feel as though let me launch that poll. Do you feel as though you are prepared for retirement? So yes, definitely, mostly, but need some help. I'll worry about it when it comes closer, or no, definitely need help. So go ahead and answer that poll question. That's our last poll question. Then we're going to get to some of these questions that you've all put in and have waited patiently for. So go ahead and answer those poll questions. Yeah, there really are some good questions coming in from folks, which is fantastic. All right, we'll give it about 15, 20 seconds here. And again, any questions at all that you have, please put them in the questions box. Doesn't need to be necessarily exactly the topic we covered. I'm assuming that's where most of the questions will be, but any questions you have at all. So, all right, give it about 10 more seconds. Looks like most people have voted here. And we'll go ahead and close out this poll, and I'll share these results. So, do you feel as though you are prepared for retirement? Yes, definitely, 8%. Mostly, but need some help, 51%, which is pretty common. I'll worry about it when it comes closer, 3%. And 38% say, no, I definitely need the help. So looks like a vast majority of people say they need some help when it comes to retirement. And yeah, that's why we're here. So we're looking forward to digging into these questions. And again, we encourage you all to sign up for My Financial Answers and sign up to speak with an advisor. So let me go ahead and hide those results, and we are going to get to your Q&A. Becky, you can join me on the there you are. Hello, Becky, welcome back. So we're going to answer all these questions. Becky, I'm going to read these off, and you can address these. You are our financial planning expert here. So the first question was actually a really good question. As you were covering the HSA topic, I did a little bit of research. I'm not sure how much you know about DPS and the health benefits, but the question that came in was, do either of the options for North Carolina teachers, including Blue Cross Blue Shield 80/20 or 70/30/30, qualify as high deductible health plans? If not, is there a way around this if one would like to contribute to an HSA? So I just went to the DPS site and I did see those two plans, but I also noticed a third option, which was titled a consumer-directed health plan, which traditionally consumer-directed health plans are HSA qualified. I did not see indication on the website as to whether that was a HSA qualified plan. Again, my assumption is that it would be, and most are. So Becky, I'm not sure if you've had any conversations with DPS teachers talking about it. If Paul's on the line and has an answer for this question, Paul, you can come back on and help us out with that. But typically, a consumer-directed health plan is eligible for an HSA. So I would start by looking into that. Looks like there's a third option. And if in fact there is, my guess is that the 30 and the 80/20, those are both PPOs not qualify for HSA. It looks like Paul probably has an answer there for us. So
I really don't have an answer for you, Ben, but we can look into it and we can get it out to the group when
Okay.
we get the last of the sessions out. So
Awesome. Yeah. It's a great. It'd be great to have an answer to that. And again, typically a consumer-directed health plan, and on the site it looks like, at least for the plans that you all had for 2020, it looked like there was a third option, which was not the two traditional PPO options. But Becky, I'm assuming you've not had any conversations specifically with DPS teachers about this, or have you?
Yeah, no, so I do not believe the two that you mentioned before, the 80/20 and the 70/30. I don't believe those qualify, as you mentioned. I wasn't aware of the third option. But if you don't qualify, there is no way for you to get it without qualifying through a healthcare plan that you have offered to you. I would say, though, if you have a spouse and they have the option and you can go on their healthcare plan and they are qualified for an HSA, then you can qualify in that way and contribute to an HSA. So if your spouse does, then you can go on their plan and take advantage of that.
you can always contact the state health plan to find out more information about that also, but we will be doing that for you.
Yeah, we'll get back to you all in our in the follow-up email. So it's a great question. HSA is such a great benefit. You know, I actually do qualify for an HSA and do contribute, and it's a fantastic benefit. So good question. All right, so we'll move on to the next question here. So it's a long one, Becky, so I'm going to work through it as I read it to you. Is there a way to do a Roth IRA conversion if you already contribute the max to a Roth IRA and are still employed, with access to and contributes going regularly into a 403B? So is there a way to do a Roth conversion? I guess the question is there some stipulation that says I can't do a Roth conversion if I'm contributing to the max to an IRA and I'm also contributing to a 403B is what it looks like. So any thoughts on that, Becky? There's more to this question, but I'll stop there for a sec.
Yeah. So if you're contributing to a 403B, what I would recommend instead of converting is actually just contributing to a Roth 403B, if that's an option for you, or a Roth 457. I do believe those are options at your district. So contributing to that would allow you just to have the Roth benefits without having to do anything. And if you're contributing the max amount to a Roth IRA, then that's great as well. But you can't contribute any more outside of that. So that would be the limitation for you, is contributing to the Roth, maxing that out, and then maxing out your Roth for 403B as well.
Yeah, so an extension of that question, Becky, can one, and maybe you answered it, can one create and contribute to an IRA on top of this and then convert to a Roth without violating contribution limits? So effectively, can I contribute to an IRA as well as a 403B, 457 at the same time, is what it seems like to me. The question is. Yeah,
so you can't contribute to the maximum to a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA in the same year. The limitation is $6,000 and then $1,000 extra if you're over the age of 50. You can split them up between the two accounts, but you can't contribute more than that amount to both of them. So if you're already maxing out your 403B, like I think he mentioned before, then, I mean, not the 403B, the Roth IRA, then keep it that way and just keep contributing the maximum to your Roth. It's great that you can do that. And then you can also, on top of that, contribute the maximum amount to your Roth 403B as well.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Becky. Good questions. Next question. What is the advantage of government bond over mutual fund? What is the advantage of a government bond over a mutual fund?
Yeah, so a government bond is just going to offer some more protection for you. The government is more of a trusted entity, so there's just going to be a higher rating, higher bond rating in terms of credit quality. So they're typically less of a return on a government bond because they offer more security. But there are government bond mutual funds. So if you wanted to go that route, instead of investing in individual bonds, you can invest in a government bond mutual fund, which would allow you to have a diversification across different government bonds.
Yeah, so mutual funds hold lots of different types of securities, including government bonds and corporate bonds and stocks, all sorts of investments. Mutual funds are just a structure for investment. So I guess what I heard from that answer, Becky, is that, or maybe I'm drawing out of it, is government bonds as opposed to mutual funds that invest in equities are safer, but you can invest in a mutual fund to get diversification across different government institutions within a government bond mutual fund.
Yeah, exactly. They offer government bond mutual funds. They offer corporate bond mutual funds. So you can select specifically which type of mutual fund you want to invest in.
Awesome. Thank you, Becky. All right, next question. Can a Roth IRA be automatically deducted pre-tax from my paycheck?
No. So it can't be done. What you can do is you can automatically have a transfer set up from your checking account to your Roth IRA account. That's something that can be done with various banks. So what you would do is just look at the date that you get paid, set up the automatic transfer for the date after you get paid, and then it'll automatically move from your checking account to your Roth IRA. What you want to make sure of, though, when you're doing that is also that you're automatically investing those funds and not just putting them in the Roth IRA and leaving them in cash. That could happen if you lose sight of things. So it's really important to make sure if you're doing that, that you're investing it every time you make a contribution.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky. All right. What information should we have available when contacting My Financial Answers to build our financial plan?
Yeah, so some examples would be your pension. So you can get that from the Orbitz website on the My Benefits tab under My Financial Answers. If you go into that website, you can click on View My Retirement Statement, and that'll give me the information that I need in terms of your pension amount. Also, your financial account. So if you have a retirement account, the balance in that retirement account. So maybe some statements for any accounts that you have. And then we ask just other questions about general goals that you may have, such as when you want to retire and things of that sort. Also to consider is any loans that you have. So any liabilities, including mortgage, auto loan, credit cards. The information that I need from there is the balance, the interest rate, and then the amount you pay or how much longer you have left to pay. So that may seem a little intimidating at first, but we can weed through these things slowly but surely. And just having statements available or having it up on your computer screen while we're talking through it, we can easily get that information in there without that much work.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, you can sign up for My Financial Answers as soon as you have the link with just an email address, and you'll create a password. You actually can go in and start filling out the basics of the financial plan on your own. If you start to have some trouble, you can set up a meeting for someone to help you through that. But generally, you can actually go through that. You can take your time doing that over the course of, you can do it in a half hour if you have that information, you want to sit down and do it all, or you could take your time just filling in that information and speak with Becky after the fact. But typically, you're going to fill some of that information out, and she'll probably help you fill it out the right way, depending on how complicated your situation is. But there is the ability to kind of just go in and do it on your own before you set up a call and have most of that information filled out prior. But whichever approach you want to take, whether it's do it on your own at first and then set up a call, or set up a call with a financial planner to go through it. All right, great questions. I've not received a follow-up email from DPS William. Could you be sure I'm on the list? You absolutely will be on the list if you listen to this webinar. If you've not listened to a previous webinar, you probably would not have received that email. Paul, I'm assuming we're going to send out a follow-up from Public Affairs, or?
Yes, you'll get an email from William Sudworth at your DPS account is where that will go to. So you should have received one this morning, a little after 11, I think, is when it was sent out. You should have received one last week in your DPS account also. So if you're having problems, I'm not sure what the issue is. As long as you're going into your DPS account, it will be there. So if you are off for the summer and you've gone through your personal email address, then it will be there in your email box when you get back after this summer. So,
all right.
We'll again.
Yeah, and if you continue to have trouble, you can always go to our website, myfinancialanswers.com, and send us a chat. And if you don't get it in the next 24, 48 hours, let us know. We'll make sure that you receive the recording. Good stuff. So another good question here. At age 59 and a half, I can withdraw my 403B annuities without penalties. Should I withdraw all the funds from every 403B and invest? Age 59, I can withdraw my 403B without penalty. So I can make withdrawals from my retirement account without penalty. Should I withdraw all of those funds and invest? Becky, you want to? I'm guessing you're doing some interpretation in your head.
Yeah. So what you can do is actually transfer that and convert that into a traditional IRA. So you can move your 403B assets into an IRA. It's just called a rollover, and that's not going to have any tax impact on you. That just rolls over from your 403B to your IRA, and then the money can be invested in the IRA however you want to invest it. It's already invested in your 403B, so you are investing. It's not most likely not sitting in cash, depending on the selection that you've made in the 403B. So it is already being invested. You can just invest it differently in a rollover IRA if you want to. You can choose whatever investments you want. Another advantage of that is the fees. A lot of times there are fees associated with maintaining a 403B account. You can by all means keep it in there for your lifetime. You don't have to take it out, but if you can reduce your fees by moving it over into a rollover IRA and then investing on your own from there.
Yeah, so always good. There's lots of lots of considerations, and again, this is another reason it might make some sense to speak with an advisor to make sure that whatever you're doing is the right thing for you and what your retirement strategy is. So we'd encourage you to, if you have some follow-up questions about this, we'd encourage you to set up a call to discuss that. And you can actually have a discussion about that specific question without necessarily having to build an entire financial plan to get there. But we'd encourage it. All right, so question here. I had my annuity account from a previous employer and it is dormant because I stopped putting money into it after I changed schools. What and where do you think is the best way to move the money from my annuity, this dormant annuity?
Okay, so it depends if you're talking about a 403B or an annuity in a 403B or an actual just annuity. I think if it was from your employer, it's an annuity inside a 403B. So what you can do is, can you actually repeat the end of the question for me?
What and where do you think is the best place to move the money from my annuity? So
yeah. So once again, you can do the same thing as I mentioned before, which is just roll that over into an IRA. I would be cautious about doing anything in terms of changing the annuity. If it's an annuity inside 403B, because you're going to have some surrender charges and things to consider in that way in terms of fees. So you can simply just transfer the annuity through a rollover IRA and then invest anything else to your discretion. But I would be careful about changing the annuity because you would want to consider any kind of cost implications that would come as a result of that.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Becky. So someone else is asking, how do we sign up for My Financial Answers? Is there a link? The answer is yes, there is, and you will receive it in the follow-up email. It's a specific link for Durham Public Schools employees, so we'll make sure that we send you that exact link. I don't want to give you a long link that may be hard to type in. So a question here, does deflation affect Social Security benefits? Does deflation, I'm not sure if that meant, we talked about the inflation adjustment or the cost of living adjustment, but Becky, you can probably take it both ways. How does deflation and inflation impact Social Security?
So they're not going to lower your Social Security benefit. So they're just going to leave it the same. If the inflation is something to consider, they're going to increase it by what's called the cost of living adjustment that's determined every year. But they're certainly not going to reduce your Social Security benefits, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, they'll reduce it for the younger generation, us that we've got a long ways to go before we get there.
We're going to take the hit.
maybe. They might delay the age at which we can start collecting at some point. So if I'm unable to retire at 67, at 100% full retirement status, so full retirement age, is it possible to supplement my retirement with Social Security for a maximum benefit? If I'm unable to retire at 67, is it possible to supplement my retirement with my Social Security for a maximum benefit? I'm not exactly sure what that. You did talk, Becky, about if someone has to work longer than 67 or chooses to and delays until 70, it is at age 70 that they do maximize what their Social Security benefit will be. So I'm not sure if that's answering the question, but do you have any thoughts on this question?
So I'm a little confused as well, but if you already reached full retirement age, you don't have to worry about the fact that you're working. On top of that, you can take your Social Security benefits, and they will be full amount. It won't be reduced because of your working income. But also, you could delay till 70 if you're already having income coming in. You don't need it for your lifestyle. And that will just give you an added benefit by increasing it by 8% until age 70. But at age 70, you do have to claim it. You can't continue it past that age.
Right. So I think, and I was kind of reading the question over as you were reading, but your decision to start taking Social Security is not connected to your actual retirement from your employer. So you could retire earlier and still delay until full retirement age to get, the full retirement age amount, or to 70 to get an even greater amount if you can afford to live without Social Security. So those two decisions are independent of one another. I'm not sure if I went off course there a little bit, Becky, but I was just, as I was reading the question a little bit, I took a different interpretation maybe. But again, if you have specific questions for your individual situation, we'd encourage you to set up a call with a financial planner. Please explain how one spouse can receive the other spouse's Social Security benefit. That's a great question. Spousal benefits. Talk about that.
Yeah, so when it comes to spousal benefits, if your benefit yourself because you don't have as much income history or your income history is lower, then what you can do is you can claim off of your spouse's benefit, and that would be half. So it would be 50% of what your spouse will be able to claim. But you also have the option of taking on your own. So you have the option of taking whichever is higher. So when the time comes, you can assess with the Social Security Administration which amount is higher, and then pick either the spousal benefit or pick the benefit on your own record.
Yeah, I know my mom actually did. My father was a higher earner, but she did have enough of a work history where her Social Security was the higher amount, so she takes her own Social Security, and my father has his own Social Security. But if she had worked less, or my dad had worked less, they could choose the spousal benefit, which would have been a higher amount. So the cool thing is the Social Security Administration will actually help you walk through that and help you, to some extent, help you make sure that you make the right choices there. You can set up meetings with them. Sometimes it takes a while, depending on the office you go to, but and the timing. All right. So what is an HSA, and is it comparable to an FSA, a flexible spending account?
Yeah. So an HSA is a health savings account. FSA would be a flexible spending account. Flexible spending accounts have more limitations. So maybe the contribution amounts could be like $500, and then you can only roll over $500 to the next year. Otherwise, your money is lost. With a health savings account, you can contribute up to $3,550 or $7,100 if it's a family plan, and that money stays in your health savings account as long as you don't distribute it for health care costs. And that just continues growing over time. You can invest the money. You can't do that in a flexible spending account. It's just cash. So it really acts as a retirement account in addition to being a healthcare expense account. So it has that double benefit, whereas a flexible spending account is just cash for healthcare expenses that have to be used within that year.
Yep, great answer. Thanks, Becky. Is it too late to set up a Roth IRA if you're retiring in 2 to 3 years?
No, it is not. So as long as you have income coming in the door, you can contribute to a Roth IRA. So you have, as long as you're making income, you can contribute the max amount to your Roth IRA, and as long as those are within the income limits for contributions to a Roth.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky. All right. Sorry if you've already answered this. How do we get the link to sign up for My Financial Answers? Again, yeah, we will send out the link in the follow-up email, so you all will receive that. I'll actually just read it to you right now if you want to write this down. It's you have to be very specific with writing the link, but you would go to https://DPS period myfinancialanswers.com/register. And actually, I can put it into the I'll just put it in the chat box so we actually have that here, and I'll send it out to everyone. Just since there's so many people asking, DPS typing as I'm talking here, so hopefully I don't make a mistake. /register. So hopefully this works, unless I had a typo. I'm going to send it to the entire audience. HTTPS. Yeah, that should work. So everyone should have that link. Just shoot me a note and say that didn't work if it doesn't take you to it. We do have a bunch more questions to get to here. I think about eight more questions or so. We'll try to do them quick. And we'll end this promptly at 12:30. But hopefully we can answer all the questions. So since the Social Security formula uses the benefit 35-year work history, how significant of a reduction in payment would it be for each zero added into the numerator of that average, retiring after 30 years for full pension? Since the Social Security formula uses the benefit 35-year work history, how significant of a reduction in payment would it be for a zero added in the numerator? So meaning a zero work history, I guess. Becky, any thoughts on that? I'm doing my interpretation. You listen to me read it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question completely, so maybe you can talk to me separately about that one. But it's just an average of the highest income years. So I don't think you have to worry about if you're only working 30 years versus 35 years. You're still going to be receiving the highest benefit for the highest income years that you've had. But I'm not totally sure I answered that as specifically as I should.
Yeah, you can set up a meeting and chat about that. There are lots of people that take a year or two off of work. I went to business school for 2 years, and that had an impact on my work history, but ultimately it probably won't matter at all by the time I retire. All right, you mentioned life insurance earlier. Is there a reason to have life insurance later in life if college tuition and burial costs can be covered without it?
Yeah, so if life insurance is typically, you want to cover any kind of expenses that you have until your retirement, because hopefully by the time you retire, you will have enough money in your savings to be able to live out the rest of your life. So if you passed away, it wouldn't matter because your spouse or whoever would inherit the money and live off of your retirement. There are cases where life insurance could be useful. For example, if you don't have a lot of retirement assets and your spouse had a pension and that pension maybe dies with your spouse, you may need life insurance to cover the fact that you're no longer going to be receiving that pension and you don't have the retirement assets to cover those amounts. So there are various situations, lots of different scenarios that come up where life insurance is needed. In that case, I would talk to me, set up a meeting, because we would want to put in your financial plan as a whole. Take a look at the life insurance impact when someone dies in your family, and then we would assess what kind of needs you have from there.
Awesome. Is the total of my pension in orbits orbits, whichever it is, include what I contribute and what my employer contributes? Can participants see that? Do you know, Becky?
Yeah, so on the statement, if you download the statement, you can see the total balance of your pension amount, and then it comes up with a projected amount of your total benefit. So it does have the actual balance, it shows the contributions that you've made, and then it'll also show what the projected monthly amount will be at retirement.
Yeah, and if you want to see what you're actually contributing and what your employer is contributing today to that pension, I'm guessing the best way to get the answer to that would, you can probably see what you're contributing by looking at your pay stubs, but you could also probably see what your employer is contributing by asking HR if that's not in orbits. So I'm not sure if that question was specifically about the current contribution. It seemed like it might have been. All right, so moving along, I don't know how or where to invest. Is it possible for you to help me, Becky?
Yeah, so I can definitely give you a general education in terms of how you should be invested and what direction you should take. If you want to invest specifically and talk about the funds and things like that, I would get an investment advisor to help you out with that. So if you have your money at a certain place like Raymond James or something like that, there's typically advisors there that you can speak to, or just a general investment advisor that you can search in your local area. So I definitely will help you with the general education, but when it comes to the actual specific investments, I would talk to an investment advisor about that.
Yeah, good question. That was specifically about the 403B, and I suspect some general education and pointing someone in the right direction might be enough. All right, can you explain the significant downside to annuities versus every other 403B investment option, especially for teachers who already have a pension? DPS has done a good job of running insurance salespeople out of work. Take 10 initiative. So I think this is a question specifically about annuities and the place for annuities. Becky, I think we can just take this question offline to an individual question about what the place is for someone in their portfolio. Just for sake of time here, we're over 12:30 here. So I think that there's probably a bit of a philosophical question there. So for an HSA, two more questions. For an HSA, when I pass away, will any money left in the account be passed to my beneficiaries?
Yes, absolutely. So you can select beneficiaries on the account, and those will be directly passed on to your heirs.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky. Last question, everyone, and we appreciate your participation. If I already have 5 years contributing to a Roth IRA and my son is about to go to college in 3 years, can I withdraw from my Roth IRA without being penalized?
Yes, absolutely. So you can withdraw for education expenses, including tuition and books and things like that. So you definitely have that option, as well as other options if you've been investing in a 529 or anything like that. So I would certainly say talk to me, because maybe there's other means of funding that we can talk about so that you can have your retirement assets grow for you. But if you want to take out the Roth, you certainly could.
Awesome. Well, that is our last question. Becky, thank you for all of your time for this summer boot camp this summer. Paul, thank you for giving us the opportunity to educate your staff at Durham Public Schools. Staff at Durham Public Schools, thank you for participating. We've really enjoyed it. We hope that you continue to engage with us. My Financial Answers is not going away. We are here to help you. We hope we have an opportunity to, again, have some live interaction through webinars and engaging, but we are still here year-round, whether it's the summer or in the fall, to help you think about your own financial plan, your own retirement, whatever it is that you're considering. Again, thanks to Verity Asset Management, who has included us in this, who has worked with Durham Public Schools for a long, long time. We just, our deep desire is for you all to have everything you need to have a fantastic financial future and a financial present. So we're here to help, and we wish you a wonderful, happy, and healthy summer, and we look forward to working with you soon. Everyone take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.